Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from LexisNexis. It's part of what was Jordan's original stable of publications. This one's on wills. It's called A Modern Approach to Wills, Administration and Estate Planning with Precedents, and it's now in a 4th edition, and it's been written by Christopher Whitehouse and Professor Lesley King. Let's have a look at the book first of all. We've given the title for our book review the following: An Authoritative Text on Estate Tax Planning, now in a new 4th edition. And here's the book. Let's have a look at it first of all. There's the front of it, there's the spine, and then there's the back. There's quite a lot of blurb on the back, explains who the authors are. Now if we open the book up, it's got a very useful index at the back, and it's based on paragraph numbering, as you can probably see. So really the house style of LexisNexis coming through. References are to paragraph numbers, that's what it says there. Then you've got at the back appendices. There's band rate tables and interest rates payable and so forth, which is again very helpful from a calculation point of view. You can see right at the back there's the paragraph numbering at the side there, and then you can see there's quite a lot of extensive footnoting as well in the book. It's a hardback book, this one. Now the front of the book has the front page there, and then we've got basic information about the book there, and then a preface by the authors, which is always useful to read. The law has stayed as of 1st of November 2017. I'm actually recording this at the beginning of 2018. There's the contents section there. There's quite a lot of contents. It's a detailed set of contents, which is actually quite helpful. You can see how much detail goes into it. So you should be able to find what you're looking for pretty quickly. Excuse me. And as I say, there are 21 chapters in total, and then the 2 small appendices. Then you've got a table of cases, and then after that a table of statutes, and of course, not to be outdone, you've got a table of statutory instruments, and that's always, and actually a very small but very useful list of abbreviations. I've always found with wills, especially as a student, and more so in practice, there aren't that many abbreviations, but it's always useful to have them because, for instance, you've got the Perpetuities and Accumulations Act. I notice it doesn't mention the year, but it's the Perpetuities and Accumulations Act. So you see you've got all the usual suspects are there, basically. Then we get the various sections structured in the book. And as you see, you've got a very short index of what's there, and then we go straight in the essential wills law, and then it kicks off. This book is intended to assist those planning the tax sufficient disposition of property on death and during the administration of the estate, and the precedents provided are selected with that in mind. And the precedents, of course, are extremely helpful again. And there's quite a lot of useful calculation material which I have found of some help. The book runs to about 750 pages in total. There we go. As I say, we've reviewed this book actually in the past, and I've been very impressed with it. What do we say anyway? We say this: it's aimed primarily at private client practitioners. It's a handy, authoritative and accessible reference book. And it's now a newly minted edition from LexisNexis. As I said, in the past it came to us from Jordan's, and I think it will be equally helpful to any practitioner, for that matter, who's engaged in issues relating to estate tax planning. Now, as time and taxation move relentlessly onward, this new 4th edition of what is a highly respected text reflects, in the words of the authors, the continuing outpouring of courts and government overshadowed by the war on tax evasion, which of course we hear in the press all the time. So unsurprisingly, and indeed reassuringly, this latest edition has been produced within 3 years of the previous one, and therefore contains much new material with which practitioners will need to familiarise themselves, including a new chapter on the residential nil rate band, which selected precedents, as well as a new chapter on the international aspects of this area of law. And can I just say, you will have the band levels at the back of the book in the appendice. Now, other new developments, both contemplated and actually now in force, include all recent cases on the validity of wills, as well as other aspects of administration and much more. And to cite just one example, reference is made to a consultation paper issued by the Law Commission on the 13th of July 2017, which contains a number of proposals on possible reform relating to wills. And one of these involves giving the Lord Chancellor the power to make provision for electronic wills. I think that's a very important step forward, because we really are trying to speed up artificial intelligence and information technology at the same time. It's been actually quite slow in taking off, and I think it's also useful to note that there's a proposal to lower the age at which people are able to make a will from 18 to 16 years of age. And this last point, I think, is being not a little controversial, so one wonders whether, if ever, it will come into force. I say that, but at the same time there has been a substantial campaign to get people to vote, to be able to vote at 16, and it could well be that the day will come when in fact the age of majority is no longer seen as 18 but seen as 16. I think that's a long way off yet, personally, but it's quite possible in the future that that is what may happen. Personally, I don't necessarily see that much in the way of a jurisprudential argument, so it's really for the politicians in Parliament to decide. Now, the book, says the author, is intended to, or say the authors rather, is intended to assist those planning the tax-efficient disposition of property on death and during the administration of the estate, further assisted by precedents, which of course are extremely helpful as templates for us, selected as appropriate to those aims. And that of course is the greatest benefit, I think, of the book. And given the complexity and constantly changing nature of the subject, it's fortunate that this book is logically structured and designed for ease of use, with an extensive table of cases and contents, frequent footnotes. In fact, there are 25 pages of the index itself to go with the case law authorities, and of course you've got statutes and statutory instruments. So all that you will require is there. The footnotes aren't too long either, which is quite helpful. Now, the book's key advantage, in the view of many, is the authoritative discussion of commonplace situations and the various pitfalls that can or might ensue in practice. And with this reassuringly practical approach and emphasis on the very real needs of clients, this work of reference should be considered, in our opinion, essential reading for all practitioners who specialise in this field. And I think also it would be of use in this day and age to unrepresented litigants as well, which is one of the reasons we do these reviews, so that people are aware of where the law can be found, where the practice can be found, because it's not everybody now who can have access to legal representation and advice. And the law is stated as at the 1st of November 2017, and the publication date is the 30th of November, again 2017. Let me just have a quick look at it again. Christopher Whitehouse and Professor Lesley King, I think, have done a really good job with this book. It's not the easiest subject matter in the world to deal with. It's been described as an extremely helpful reference book on estate tax planning. That's by the Step Journal, and I think that's exactly what it is. Opening the book in the middle, you can see here, this is looking at agricultural and business property. There we go, and agricultural property relief. And you can see again the footnoting, you can see how the structure is for ease of reference, paragraph numbering, and so forth. And as I say, I think the book itself is of great use. And of course there are useful commentaries on the case law as well. A big thank you anyway to LexisNexis for taking this book on and for actually giving us a really first-class service, because we as practitioners do appreciate having these works of reference to assist us with our daily tasks. So thank you very much indeed to all concerned. Bye-bye.